What is growing on? So almost the end of October here today. It is a brisk morning in Florida. We had a little bit of rain last night, a little bit of rain a few days ago, a little bit of a cold front. I think it was just below 50 degrees this morning. We're supposed to be in the 40s this weekend. Little retention pond update. Brought in some new trees. Let me flip the camera around and show you guys what's growing on over here. So I finally got around to bringing in some road base, some more rock. Not quite done yet, but we've added the second driveway on the entry, getting rid of this single point kind of bottleneck because it is on the skinnier side. So clients leaving can now come out on this side. The whole thing kind of merges together. I haven't finished the circle around there yet because I do think I'm going to need a little drain over there on the corner of the black mat. The new addition, that's just a few days old. These are super exciting. I want to bring in some more, but we've got a bunch of native trees. We've got bald cypress, native maples, native magnolias, and live oaks, all in that 2.5 to 3 inch caliper, probably anywhere from 10 to 15 foot, depending on the tree. And these range anywhere from like $350 to $400 for pickup. A little different depending on where you're located for delivery or installation. So I'm trying something different here. We're putting some black mat down. Typically, if you go to any tree farm, you know, these are just Roundup sprayed beds to control the weeds. My goal here is we just loosely laid out that weed mat, and that's going to keep most of those weeds at bay. If we sell a tree, we pop one side off, move it out of the way, bring another tree in. Have got a partnership with the local tree farm actually in my neighborhood, so as I sell them I can replenish quite quickly. Don't even necessarily have to pull them from here, so we'll see what happens with that. But granite driveway is looking pretty good, still not completely settled in. My new retention ditch is working great. I do have a little bit of a bottleneck in the front over there on the corner of the mat, but mealy grass is doing really well. Oak looks to be pretty happy. Did notice those thatch palms filled in a little bit. Bald cypress probably really happy with the water in that zone. But it's looking pretty good over here. Mulch has been coming in steadily. Doesn't look like a lot, but the way I have it piled up and with that bin, I actually have a fairly good amount of mulch there. I mean, that thing's, at least to the high point, almost half full now. I've built a little bit of a relationship with the local concrete company that makes these blocks, and they know who I am, and this one says GreenDreams on it. Pretty cool. Oh, I didn't ask for that. He's like, hey, I made you a block. So we're going to try to put a lot of pretty stuff out here. Like I said, this has only been here, I think 3 or 4 days yet. I'm surprised Katerina doesn't have this filled to the brim. But we do have a little food forest area here on the end with a couple of different mulberries, a couple different Asian persimmons, a couple bananas, a couple calandras. I think there's a cat whisker down there, a row of lemongrass, some vetiver grass. So wait to see what happens when that bad boy fills in. Got a couple of zones up here, still haven't got around to covering up our valve box. Left it on a little bit too long, ended up with a wet spot here in the corner. And all of this is kind of pitched this way. We wanted it pitched that way. About 85% of the way across, it actually pitches out to the front. I know eventually I'm gonna lose that 25 foot by the road, so I didn't wanna change that entire pitch up there and do a ton of grade work to bring that to where I wanted it. We're just gonna deal with which way the water goes there, but I do have a little pinch right there and a little pinch right here, so I think we'll put a drain box, 4-inch drain, run it over there, tie it into a box there, and just allow it to enter this retention ditch a little bit easier. But pine needles in this bed look great. Fat-hatchy grass are coming right back. We'll be able to cut those back here in another, I don't know, 4 weeks or so, probably end of November. Waiting for these cabbage palms to push out, but everything is looking awesome over here. We just got a fresh delivery of some compost. I'm trying to make this like our loading zone in the corner here. So if you come for mulch, you come for compost. Try to keep people off the driveway, which isn't quite here yet. But what happens is when we get a lot of rains and we get into that rainy season, this area can become really soft. So I have to build this up. That's actually not dirt. That's crushed asphalt all the way to the driveway. I put that down first as a road base. And then we put the granite lightly over top just to kind of pretty it up, I guess you could say. I did forget to show you this other GreenDreams block. A little custom one. This one's got a sunflower and a palm tree and a sun on it. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but whoa. Shout out to the Got Concrete guys making me some custom blocks. There's 1 or 2 more he did somewhere mixed up in there, but Pretty cool. But we'll show you around the nursery, show you what's going on. This Jabo house is almost full. So if you guys come out now, you want to get some hardwoods for the house. Don't all have to be edible. Live oaks are probably one of my favorite hardwoods if you're going to plant a tree. Acorns for other animals to eat. Awesome shade trees, long-term trees, you know, not a laurel oak, not a water oak, but a live oak. So that can be like a grandfather tree. All right, so excuse the audio. We are almost at 9 o'clock when we open, kind of quick check-in, blowing off. There's a little bit of cleanup action going on over here, guys. So it was a perfect time to make a video, but not a perfect audio moment. Just thought I'd do a little update on this bed, which is probably about 4 months old now, really young. Actually even 3 months old. The bananas are really girthed up a lot. We did our first chop and drop. I ended up actually pruning some of that bamboo, and maybe some of that brush ended up in here. Oak tree stubs that were coming up, but mostly what you can see laying across the front here is the lemongrass and the red Napier grass in the back. There's some of that bamboo, actually, Simpson stopper, firebush. Haven't grown a ton since we put them in. Mulberry, I've tipped a couple of times. You can see that guy's already pushing back out. And leaves on this one look great, to where, you know, we're getting into fall. It's that time of year, guys, when plants kind of start to look a little ugly, especially our deciduous plants. Everybody keeps asking me, what is going on with my fig? What is going on with my mulberry? Very, very common towards this time of year when things are heading towards going deciduous and dropping their leaves anyway. They start to get a little bit uglier. I can't believe, 2 pups off of that. I don't even have irrigation in this bed. This gets a little bit of hand water here and there. There's that world's best, but bed is filled in really nice. That grass has recovered pretty quickly since I cut it. Another couple weeks, I'll cut this again, and hoping not to add a bunch of mulch to this bed long term. Ideally growing what we need over here. Does not get a ton of afternoon light, so I have noticed, by afternoon time, this is already starting to kind of get shaded out. Loquat could probably use a little more sun for production. We'll see how that does. This area has been calling my name to get planted. I want to do this little shade zone, that little shade zone over there. That is just a monster log from that giant dead live oak up front. But I figured if we do a quick checkup on this bed, go around the shade house, guys. I'm going to wrap this one up. I got to get moving. I do have a timer on here running off of a hose bib, just a Rainbird timer on a poly line, just to get everything established. But avocados over here look like they haven't shocked too bad. Loquat filling in nice. Pentas, grasses are filling in. A lot of lemongrass and Napier grass in this bed also. Unfortunately, no native grasses. Pentas have some nice flowers on them, but we've been basically trying to plant out a lot of our breeder varieties of mulberries, like the bed up front there by the mulch bin that has 6th Street, an Aus Turkey variety, which is kind of a little bit of a rare one. Sweet almond's looking good. Everything over here is coming along. Nursery is pumping. I have not done anything to the greenhouse, guys. I got you a little overhead drone footage over there. Put some older dirt I had. It almost looks like compost, but it's not. It's more of a topsoil down in that area to semi-start the leveling process. I still have to put all this base on top, and it is certainly turning into greenhouse weather, so that's coming soon. I'm sure that'll be a video update here before December when we finally get that thing up, especially as cold as it's getting so quickly. But I know last time I made a video, we did not have this many trees around the outside of the shade house. A lot of big 15-gallon avocados, a lot of big peaches over here, a lot of Asian persimmons. I have a lot of new persimmons in stock. I think I even have some apples and nectarines for our clients that live in a little bit more of a northern area. Good old hard-working dump trailer. And yeah, big cold hardy avocados. So pretty much just trying to keep cold hardy ones in through the winter time. And this is what I was talking about a little bit with these persimmons. You can see the leaves aren't as beautiful and as vibrant as they were, kind of crack easily, getting to that deterioration stage where they're going to be dropping leaves, but a great time to plant. So any of our stone fruits would almost be preferred to be planted in the wintertime. I know it's a common practice up north. We've got a lot of pears here, probably 4 or 5 different varieties of sand pears. Grow really well here, lower chill hours, and these are all different varieties of persimmons again. So yeah, running out of room here around that shade house. Those little eucalyptus trees, I guess I could speak on them for a second. Guys, we had a ton of feedback and a ton of comments, and a lot of people saying that the eucalyptus trees or there's so many different names for this tree. My wife's gonna kill me for not knowing that one. But everybody thinks it's invasive. These have been planted all over the state of Florida for 30 or 40 years, around citrus groves, around orange groves, as that windbreak. I've never seen one come up in the wild. I've never seen one come up from seed. I don't even know how they get these things started. We've tried cuttings. I've tried to collect seed. I've tried scarifying them. I've never been able to get the seeds to take. These guys were like 12 inches tall. They filled that a lot. I'm gonna turn the camera around and stop talking. But guys, I wouldn't be sowing these if I thought they were invasive. I also plan on pruning them and controlling them because I do know that the branches could snap quite easily. I don't want 40-foot trees. I'm just looking for a quick shade. Something that's going to grow in fast, something that's going to fill some space, more of kind of that placeholder. So long term, like I said, the eucalyptus doesn't need as much water as the bamboo. We don't want irrigation in this bed, although it's going to get a little excess from that overhead zone here behind me. But look how much these guys have filled out. Look at that new growth. They are just beautiful. Compared to the ones at my house, because these ones are getting a little bit more love, these have filled out a lot more than the ones along the market garden, and I'll talk about those here soon. Due to make an update video with Tanner, show you guys what's growing on back at the home space. But these ones have filled in just great. Beautiful pink new growth. And I plan on just keeping these a couple of feet taller than the fence, really for some wind protection, some visual protection, some fire protection, because we lost our fence with the hurricane last year. I'm not going to put windscreen back on the fence because we're kind of right here on that side road, but nothing really to report on over here other than a greenhouse laying on its back still. Compost, or not compost, topsoil kind of put down in that whole low area over there. Need to do some grading. I just actually did that last night and had some chunks in it of wood and stumps, etc. So those all have to be picked up before I can run it over with the bobcat and get it flat. And then I'll put a 2-inch layer of base over this whole area. And I'm really hoping that greenhouse doesn't come past the tree, and it's going to go almost to about 5 foot from a tortoise hole down there on that end. We're trying to stay as far away from it as possible. I am going to attempt chipping off this concrete. A friend of mine's let me borrow a chipping hammer. I'm going to see how that works, because those are going to be a real pain in the butt to set there in the concrete. I found that up front. That was under when we were digging the retention pond, so you never know what you're going to find. More poles I need to get the concrete off of, but they have gone gangbusters here in the shade house, and things are really filling out. I see some grafting going on over here. I see a lot of new growth going on in here. I see a variegated Jaboticaba just crushing it. Ooh, aren't you beautiful? So showing off big old grumichamas, flowers on the lemongrass Jaboticaba. What? Yeah, you know the party's going on in here. Definitely having a party in here. Definitely getting hammered in here by a fox or a coyote. Working on building some doors here before we get into heavy fruiting season to try to keep these things out. Hopefully they don't chew right through the wall. Little Simpson stopper for the online store. A lot of our online store stuff is in here and up off the ground because we have to be that 24 inches off for nematode inspections and so on. Some really nice lychees. This one is Mauritius. I do believe we're shipping some 3-gallon lychees also. And just tons of perennial vegetables through this space. Tons of jabos, tons of weeds. Sometimes the weeds do beat us. We do not use any pre-emergents. So all of this stuff just gets hand weeded. There's hours a day that go on in hand weeding around here. That just never ends. That is the one thing I'm excited about a robot for. Maybe help us with some weeding around here, some chopping and dropping. But otherwise, we're going to be doing it manually until that day comes. You can see the squirrel pressure is so hard in here. You have to put these black tray covers on top of the seed starts because a lot of times these young ones get eaten. And you can see the little baby moringas. Montingia, probably not liking that 50-degree weather this morning. It is getting nippy. All right, so Jabo land. This was originally about 8 foot back from that pole. and it has just grown out. I left the space and they've literally filled every inch of it, which is awesome. Scarlet jabos in between almost every one of the big reds. Every one of these big reds and every one of these big grimmels are kind of at a fruiting age now. All these trees are pretty mature. They all did get a haircut this summer too. You can see if you look in here at these gnarly trunks. All, ooh, I see you over there. So this is kind of Willy Wonka's playhouse in here. And it's pretty unbelievable how bad these things are getting eaten. We are trying to get as much seed as we can, but beating the animals to it has been really tough. Never imagined, 4 miles down the road, not getting any of the same pressure we're getting here. So it is quite interesting. Whoa. But Jaboticabas love the differentiation in temperature, cold snaps. Definitely stimulates them and gets them going. So, oh, the old yellow covered in flowers. Ooh. All right, beautiful kombucha in a 15-gallon. That is one I don't think we've fruited yet. I cannot wait for that day. Most everything else has put a flower or fruit on by now, though. All right, so shade house is getting maxed out. More drain work I need to work on over here. We're going to try to make it to dry season next year, but I want to put a drain in here. I want to put a couple of pickups with the gutter coming off that building and everything going over to the side with probably another retention ditch. So we can keep that water on the property, but letting this mess up once we get the greenhouse done. All right, I could literally hide in this wall of vetiver grass. I wanted to show you guys how beautiful these little flower spikes are. They almost have that red tint like the muley grass has. Definitely a lot more aggressive, definitely a much taller grass. Roots are pretty insane on this one. I love this grass. Unfortunately, it is not native, but it is useful. Roots can go 15, 20 feet. This is amazing erosion control. A little bit of that sugarcane, napier grass, lemongrass. All of our native grasses are down here in the native row. Little Mexican sunflower, nopales, cat whisker. Our African potato mint is going to flower right now, so pretty soon it'll be going dormant. All those will just be pots of dirt. Some Inga ice cream bean. I think long-term, guys, I want to put a big greenhouse taking up almost half of this mat, getting all the tropical stuff moved to one area. This way we can just shut the doors, turn on the water on a cold night, and not have to lay down and cover all these plants. Hopefully making a little less little less work for the team in the long run. All these lychees are looking great. Cattleya guavas. We have a lot of plants right now, guys, going into fall. Definitely would like to get rid of some of this tropical stuff. Black sapote, sapodillas. I finally do have white sapotes. I have a bunch of these redland variety. Probably not going to last long. They are quite popular. Some big old longans up in here. Dwarf Barbados cherry doing its thing. Still got some of those rare varieties of papayas. I don't really push them or promote them or talk about them enough. But I have some really cool different varieties of papayas. This is the Bella 1 hybrid. And I need to actually make signs for each. These ones are really green and nice. Those are just some red ladies that we brokered in. We actually grew all of these. But there's like a red nemesis in here. What else do we got? Bella 1 hybrid. Some kind of, I want to say there's a red Majul, a Tai Nung 2. At least 6 or 7 varieties left still. Look at these cute little guys. What? Look how small those are. Dwarf Barbados cherry. Definitely a very bonsai tree. Pretty cool. Fairly tasty. Very small seed. Mona Lisa plantain, Namwa bananas. Lots of Suriname cherries. I see you, Turk's cap, hiding over there. All right, I've done this one plenty of times. I'm getting ready to give you guys some individual plant videos again. I've had a ton of requests for those. I've got a list. That is going to be the next thing I'm probably working on video-wise, other than a couple of job site follow-ups. So stay tuned. I think I'm gonna finish this little walkthrough and end this thing for you guys. I hope you're starting a food forest. I hope you're working on your fall garden. I mean, I think everybody should have a garden right now, especially with the current economic state of the world and quality of food right now. There's nothing better that you could be doing in your own backyard, not be growing grass. So, all right, so that's the last of it. More of those persimmons over here. I'm gonna turn this camera around. I hope you guys enjoyed the follow-up video. Hope you enjoyed the entrance. If you come here, please let me know what you think. Guys, it is fall. Rip out the head grass, get a garden started, whether it's starting with the raised bed by the back door, whether it's starting with a couple of fruit trees. Just get something started. It's time to grow some food, time to plant a garden, time to pound some dirt. You guys know what time it is.